با درود و احترام خدمت شنوندگان و بینندگان عزیز، امیدوارم حالتون خوب باشه. امروز هم در خدمتتون هستیم درباره جنگ اسرائیل با جمهوری اسلامی. خبرهای بسیار ناامید کننده از ایران میرسه که مردم ایران با توجه به شرایط سختی که دارند، حالا خامنه ای جنگ رو هم بر اونها تحمیل کرد. به اسرائیل هم در صدد هست تا شر بمب اتمی این رژیم رو بکنه، اما رژیم به خاطر اینکه میداند رفتنی است و در داخل مقبولیت نداره، داره مردم غیر نظامی رو به کشتن میده. و هشدار ارتش اسرائیل هم برای ایرانیان که از محدوده تأسیسات نظامی جمهوری اسلامی دوری کنید.
در این برنامه یک مصاحبه انگلیسی که بسیار هشدار دهنده است از شاهزاده رضا پهلوی را که با زیرنویس فارسی است را خواهید دید و دیدگاه شاهزاده رضا پهلوی پسر ارشد شاه سابق ایران محمد رضا شاه پهلوی را در شرایط حساس کنونی که علی خامنه ای ایران را رها کرده و از ترس در سوراخ موش پنهان شده است، این مصاحبه در ادامه خواهد دید. شاهزاده در این مصاحبه میگوید: قلب من با قربانیان غیر نظامی این درگیری ها هم در ایران و هم در اسرائیل است. اما این جنگ مردم ایران نیست. جنگ علی خامنه ای است و او مسئول اصلی رساندن اوضاع به این مرحله است. آنچه خشم من را بیشتر می‌انگیزد این است که خامنه ای از هم میهنان من به عنوان سپر انسانی استفاده می‌کند، در حالی که خودش مثل یک موش در یک تونل زیر زمین پنهان شده است. ما اکنون با فرصتی بزرگ روبرو هستیم. در همین 3 روز گذشته رژیم 10 برابر ضعیف‌تر شده است. مردم ایران به روشنی می‌بینند که میدان بازی برای آنها برابر شده و این برایشان فرصتی فراهم کرده تا برخیزند و از شر رژیم خلاص شوند. توجه شما بینندگان رسانه پارسه را به دیدن این مصاحبه جلب می‌کنم.
Joining me now from an undisclosed location is the exiled Crown Prince of Iran, His Royal Highness Reza Pahlavi. Your Highness, thank you so much for being here today. What is your reaction to this conflict?
The first thing I need to say here is that my heart goes out to the victims, civilian victims, both in Iran and in Israel, who are unfortunately casualties of this conflict. But one thing is very clear, and I mentioned that last time we spoke, that this is not the Iranian people's war. It is Ali Khamenei's war, and he's solely and ultimately responsible for having brought this to this stage. What angers me further is that he's using my compatriots as a human shield, while he is currently hiding in some underground tunnel like a rat. And we have had reports that senior members and officials have already had their families fleeing the country to foreign destinations, perhaps even including some of his own.
You heard Benjamin Netanyahu say that there are leaders that are packing their bags and leaving. Do you believe that this Iranian regime can be toppled?
Absolutely. It's just a matter of time. I believe that for 44 years. It's not a matter of if, but a matter of when. But now we have a tremendous opportunity. Last time we spoke, I mentioned that the regime is at its weakest. As of last 3 days, the regime is 10 times weaker than it was 2 weeks ago. So at this stage, I think the Iranian people obviously realize that the playing field has been more equalized for them to give them finally an opportunity to rise and get rid of this regime. Because we always believe that the ultimate solution to the problem is for this regime to no longer be there. Not at the hand of foreign troops or countries, but at the hand of the Iranian people themselves. The Iranian people are the boots on the ground that we need. What they need, however, is solidarity from the free world to once and for all get rid of the problem, help Iranians overcome this regime, and put an end to all the threats that this regime has been the root cause of for decades now in the region and beyond.
Do you think the rest of the world, the free world, will heed that call and come to the aid of the Iranian people? What would you like to see?
What I like to see is for the world to know that the only way you can have less stress for the economic stability of the world, have less casualties of innocent victims here and there, have an end to all this stress, including the nuclear threat, is to eliminate this regime. The sooner they come to this conclusion, the sooner we'll be rid of the problem and we can all breathe a sigh of relief. The Iranian people are willing to do their part. In fact, they've done this so many times with no help whatsoever, but they're willing to risk life and limb in order to finally overcome. Last night, people on the streets were angry, chanting death to the dictator yet again. They know who the enemy is. The regime has been giving them slogans of death to America and death to Israel for the past 4 decades. And Iranians have been responding, they lie to us when they say it's America. Our enemy is right here, meaning the regime. And fortunately, I see that more and more people, public opinion, media, and foreign governments are finally making a clear distinction between the people of Iran and the regime. And that's key. That tells you right there that the solution is in front of your eyes. The Iranian people are your solution, not negotiating with a regime that cannot be trusted. Case in point, the latest report of the IAEA. They are not to be trusted. And I've said that so many times already.
And you've said also that the Iranian leadership is at its weakest. How would you assess, based on your own knowledge of this, how would you assess the nuclear capabilities today?
Well, it certainly has been tremendously set back. But the whole point here is that how much more time do you want the regime to catch a second breath and come back online? How many times are we going to yet again throw them a lifeline? How many times are we going to allow them, as they were going down in their ability to spend money on their proxies or for repression machineries at home, to get access to more funding that they shouldn't have had? I think this is the perfect time. The G7 are meeting right now in Canada. Why not prescribe the IRGC, which is the element that has been the root cause of repression at home and terrorism abroad, as part of the kind of pressure that the world can bring? And at the same time have the parallel track, you and I have spoken about this many times already, a parallel process of maximum support. Some people have already been talking about internet interruptions in Iran that the regime has always tried to use as a tactic to make people have more difficulties communicating. Starlink and Elon Musk are trying to do their part. We need much more of that. This is how, in fact, they can help the Iranian people have a better chance to succeed, and their success will be in your own interest at the end of the day.
Your Highness, Iran is apparently reaching out to several countries right now, trying to get a message to Israel to stop and put in some kind of a ceasefire. According to Israeli officials, Iranian leaders are sending messages to Israel through Italy, Azerbaijan, Cyprus. They may be using Qatar and Oman to relay signals to the United States. What is your message to those countries?
I think, again, if the fundamental argument is that the source and the root cause of all the problems and all the threats is directly linked to the survivability or the continued survival of this regime this far, the quickest way to eliminate all these problems is to put an end to this regime. If out of desperation they're begging for yet again another life insurance, I think, they had plenty of opportunity to come clean. And they haven't. And the minute they get a chance, they will go back to their old tricks. They're only trying to buy time. This is a pattern that has been many, many times observed by this regime. Every time their back is to the wall, they try to come across as, okay, now we are willing to consider it. But the minute they get a chance, they go back to their old ways, which is why I'm saying it is not a reliable formula. You will always be in anxiety of how far can we rely on this, how far the negotiation could succeed if they were to resume. And at the end of the day, you still have the same problem in place, because let's say, for the sake of argument, and we talked about this before already, let's say there is a deal on the nuclear issue. What about terrorism? What about funding of the proxies? What about radicalization? What about all the other aspects that this regime has been involved with? What about their funding of radical groups in Europe and in the United States on university campuses, fomenting all this kind of anti-Semitic rhetoric and whatever we have seen? This is Ali Khamenei's regime yet again. The Iranian people, on the other hand, want to have cordial relationship with our neighbors, whether it's the Israelis or the Saudis or the rest of the Persian Gulf in our neighborhood, because unlike this regime that survive on warmongering and celebrate martyrdom, we want to celebrate peace and brotherhood and life. And that's the difference. Invest on the Iranian people. After 46 years of trying the other way around, give the Iranian people this time a chance to put an end to all the problems. To free themselves, which is my mission in life, to it, but we need the world to understand that which side of history will they be standing on this time.
Your Highness, you wanted to give the people a message in Farsi.
Thank you so much, Maria. همیهنان عزیز، فرصت غنیمت هست که در حال حاضر با عقب نشینی نظام و تضعیف خیلی بیشتر از هر زمانی یک فرصت استثنایی هست که بالاخره کار رو به دست خودتون بگیرید و نبرد نهایی رو پیگیری بکنید. هرچی بیشتر متحد باشید، هرچی بیشتر فعال باشید، هرچی بیشتر در خیابان‌ها باشید، مطمئن باشید که ریزش‌ها هم بیشتر به سمت شما انجام خواهد شد.
Your Royal Highness, thank you so much for being here.
هم صدا با هم در هر جای ایران که هستیم مخالفت خود با رژیم اسلامی رو فریاد بزنیم، فراخوان دهید تا مردم در جریان باشند.